If you don't have much time to practice or you're constrained to quiet practice, use these exercises today to build your coordination with just a practice pad. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I believe that no matter who you are, you can master the drums when you have the right know-how, and I believe this video is going to help you do that. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and also grab my free e-guide, How to Learn Any Song by Ear without drum tabs, without any kind of online tutorials, in under 60 minutes. This is really cool. It's a really great method that's going to help train your ear and make you a more musical drummer in the process. So go check that out while you're here. There's a very underrated, under-talked about type of coordination that many drummers struggle to achieve, and it's called dynamic independence. What am I talking about? Well, not only do your limbs need to play rhythms independent of each other or grooves where one thing's locking with another thing, etc., but your limbs also need to be able to play at independent dynamics, because if you think about it, you don't always want to hit a cymbal as hard as you might hit a tom during a fill. Or the kick drum needs to be nice and strong and loud, but the hi-hats might not be. And so, because each surface is different, each one requires different touch and even slightly different grip sometimes. And so you want to be able to mix all of that accordingly. You have to have that dynamic independence. Mastering this aspect of coordination is actually the key to feeling comfortable and confident and at home behind the drums. If you want the drums to feel like an extension of your body, where you're just expressing yourself and you're just playing cool ideas and making things sound the way you hear them in your head, you have to have this level of dynamic control independent of each limb. And the cool thing is you can start working on this on your pad, whether you're constrained to quiet practice or you're in an apartment or you've got limited time or you've got a pad at your desk at work, and so you want to just play a little bit every now and then. You can get started, and then you can actually take some of what we're going to talk about today and then translate it to your kit later on. So here's what we're going to do. This starts off very simple. We can definitely make it a little more complex, but it's going to start off simple. But this is also not as easy to do as it looks. I remember this being a struggle for me the first time I did it. We're just going to take paradiddles, and like what George Lawrence Stone talks about in his method book, Stick Control, we want to just play them evenly. We don't want to do any accents yet. We just want to play them evenly so that it just sounds like. That's the goal, just robotic, even, boring, and we want to be able to do that loud, but also do that quiet. Once we get it quiet, here's what we want to do. We want to start to accent the right hand. Gradually getting louder. Now, technique-wise, as you get louder, that loud hand needs to be loose and open. So the stick is moving within the hand, big, loose, and open. Then the hand that's just playing, the taps, the ghost notes there, can stay a little bit more firm. You can keep the fingers wrapped around because you're controlling every bit of that motion, because you don't want much stick height. You've got to keep the stick height low for those taps, but then have big stick height, big, loose, open hand for the accents. So once you've done that, then gradually get quiet again. Then accent the left hand. Then bring it back down. And then practice going back and forth between those, phasing in the right hand and then phasing it out, phasing in the left hand. That's what's hard. I remember that being a struggle for me the first time I did it. It's one thing to play the accent at paradiddles. It's another thing to gradually bring that in and then gradually switch to the other without stopping, because what happens is your ear starts to hear that rhythm. Your ear is hearing the rhythm of the right hand, and unless you can shift your ear to the rhythm of the left hand, it's very difficult to start accenting the left and keep it up and keep it smooth. So you've heard me say many times, it's not what you practice, it's how you practice it. So you've got to use this the right way, have the right mindset as you're practicing this, and that mindset is listening to the accent at hand and picking up on that rhythmic melody. So be listening to the gup, 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 bump, ba, ba, bump, bump, ba, bump, bump, so that you can memorize that and just sit there and play it in your sleep. Bump, ba, bump, 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 ba, bump, bump. Do the same though with the left hand accent. Boom, bump, ba, bump, 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 so that now you can begin shifting your ear back and forth on the fly, and so on. So once you've done that, you have true two-way dynamic independence here, where you're thinking about exactly how you're going to hit with your right hand, exactly how you're going to hit with your left hand, which means you could technically apply that paradiddle to the kit and put your right hand over here on the cymbal and left hand on the tom, and you're still going to be able to play it because your ear can individually control exactly how each hand hits. That's important. Now here's something else you can do to really split your brain even further and really take on a cool challenge. This is tough, but it's totally worth doing. We're going to do polyrhythms between hands. So now you can do the paradiddles, you can accent one hand and then the other, which is very true two-way coordination, but we can take it to another level with polyrhythms where we're literally counting one thing with one hand, counting another thing with the other hand, and then changing the dynamics of those. So it kind of just adds another layer here. First polyrhythm to do this with is the 3/2 because it's the simplest, and that's just the, it sounds like the Carol of the Bells melody. Bum, 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 bum. It's a good way to remember it. And I've always found it easier to have the right hand play the 3, the left hand play the 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Left hand's doing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. As a matter of fact, if you want to really take the initiative with this, practice doing what I just did and count out loud what one hand's doing or what the other hand is doing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that you're making sure you're listening to each hand individually. Do the dynamic changes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. It's hard to do, it's tricky. And as you're doing that, switch up the dynamic. So maybe you're saying the 2, but the 3 is actually louder. Do that, and that's going to really not only develop your, like if you're trying to sing while you play drums, that's going to help, but that's going to really build that hand-to-hand dynamic independence. You could also do this with the 4/3 polyrhythm. And by the way, I did a video about these polyrhythms a while back. You can see that in the description below. And in that video, we just break down a lot of actual song examples that have polyrhythms in them. And I provide a notation PDF so that you can study these in more detail. So if you want to go the extra mile with this, go check out that video once you're done watching this one. So the 4/3 is this. That's the rhythm. Again, I like to have the right hand playing the 4, left hand playing the 3, so right hand's always doing the faster pace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that same thing. Make yourself do that same challenge. You can go a little slower if you need to, but doing that is going to reap dividends in your true two-way coordination. Because, you know, if you're just playing, that's not true two-way coordination because you're not really having to think individually about what each hand is doing. But as soon as you do the accented paradiddles, as soon as you do the accented hand-to-hand polyrhythms, you're just deepening that two-way coordination so that you're truly in touch with what each hand is doing. Here's what this means, because I don't want you to lose sight of the ultimate goal. Whenever we get into real nerdy technical stuff like this, there's always an ultimate goal in mind. Our objective isn't just to, oh, play polyrhythms, oh, I want to play accented paradiddles. No, be thinking about the why behind this. What is the ultimate goal here? Well, when you do this, you're building your dynamic independence. And when you build dynamic independence, you're better able to strike each surface on the drum set appropriately with the right touch, with the right dynamic, so that you're able to mix yourself properly. If you want to be a studio drummer, if you want to record well, or if you want to just sound good in any room you play in, you have to be able to mix yourself really well, where you can control how hard you're hitting a cymbal, you can control how hard you're hitting the kick, and you can mix your drum set so that it sounds great in the room and it sounds great through the overhead mics. That way you make the engineer's job easy and your playing feels good. Dynamics are the key to good feel. It's not so much time, it is time to a degree, but more so it's dynamics. When you can get your dynamics exactly where they need to be, your playing feels really good, it feels professional. If you want to play well in the studio, that's the key, and it all starts with just that simple two-way dynamic independence, because then you can take that, do that with your feet. Everything we talked about today, do that with your feet too when you get on the kit, and then do it between right hand and left foot, right hand and right foot, so on. Do those different combinations, and you're really going to reap the rewards of that. Just remember that if your dream is to sound really good, if your dream is to sound like your drumming heroes, to play well in the studio, dreams like that, they start with nitty-gritty stuff. They start with the basics like this, step-by-step things that you can do, that you can take action on. And so if you want to sound really good and you want to play like a pro, you want to bridge the gap between amateur and pro, grow in your dynamics, this is how you start. So if this video helped you out, be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also grab my free song learning e-guide. If you want to be able to learn any song by ear without the help of drum tabs or online tutorials, like just sit down and do it yourself in under 60 minutes, check out this guide. It's going to teach you exactly how to do that and build your listening skills, your oral skills, so that you can be a truly musical drummer. Super cool. It's helped out a ton of drummers, so go check it out. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, stay non-glamorous. Know that you can do this. Whatever you put your mind to and whatever you practice regularly, you can accomplish it. You can do this. I'll see you on the next video.